Hey, it's New Thought Talk. I'm your host, the Reverend Steve Walling from the Spiritual Awareness Center, located in Fresno, California. Fresno, the heart of the Central Valley. Central Valley, the heart of the great state of California. As I say each week, we got a lot of heart going on here, and I hope your heart is open, receptive, and accepting in all that life may bring to you and at you in this day that was gifted to you. And if you claimed that gift before you opened your eyes this morning, how much more empowered are you as you go through the day? You know, there is a power and a presence for good in the universe that's available to each and every one of us. Our job is to, one, become aware, and two, in our awareness, increase our receptivity. As we increase our receptivity, increase our understanding of the truth of who and what we are, put it into practice, and live at greater and higher degrees of livingness. It's awesome. It's always awesome, particularly when you know the truth of who you are. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to learn, to grow. We've been in the process of going through a book that was written by Ernest Holmes, This Thing Called Life. We're in chapter 5, if you have a copy of the book. I'm not sure exactly where I left off 2 weeks ago, but I'm going to start today on page 42 and move forward. But before I do that, I want to read something out of the textbook, commonly called The Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. On page 102, at the bottom paragraph down here, Holmes writes, "Could we understand absolute causation, we should perceive it to be pure intelligence operating through perfect law and producing effects which live and have their being, not by virtue of an isolated life, but by reason of a universal unity which permeates all things." That's us. There's one life, one unity. And to the degree that we understand that and align ourselves with that, you can call it principle or God or goddess or however it is that you understand that. But as you align yourself with that, live in harmony with that, the creative goodness that awaits your beckoning to put into practice in your life is incredible. It's awesome. It's done unto us as we believe, said the master teacher. And there's no more powerful or greater truth spoken. So Holmes writes here in the this thing called life. He says, the law of life is a law of mind, of spirit, or of thought. You may call it a law of cause and effect. You may call it a law of polarity. It has been called by all these terms and many more. The law of life says that whatever you mentally affirm and at the same time become inwardly aware of, life will create for you. In our last show, I talked about the idea of, in that phase, that part of our affirmative prayer treatment that we call the gratitude or thanksgiving part, being able to, as we come to a consciousness of thanksgiving and gratitude, being in a state of giving thanks and gratitude, experiencing gratitude, not just speaking the words, not just making it an intellectual process that we go through, but actually get into and become the beingness of gratitude. That where we're at that time is not being grateful for something that's coming, but for something that already is. That it's not tomorrow, it's not next week, it's now. Wherever and whatever we're at that point, that now. And to the greatest and greater degree that we can do that, the more we align ourselves with this truth. It was Eric Butterworth, a Unity minister, who used to say when he talked about doing healing work, that there's nothing to be healed, only truth to be revealed. That truth is the perfection, the completeness, that of the creative consciousness of the universe. God does not make imperfection. God does not make mistakes. But we do deal with conditions. And we deal with those conditions because we've been taught, not maybe consciously, but we've been taught to recognize that, and I brought this up in the last time also, that which is discernible through our five senses, our sight, smell, touch, taste, and hearing, that's reality, but it's not. That's materiality. That's not the reality of the divine. It's an effect, just as our livingness as we experience it is an effect. But there's a cause behind the effect, and that cause is divine, and that divinity exists and lives in the core of each and every one of us, that we are the divine, God expressing as us, our understanding, realization, awakening, awareness too, and then opening up within ourself in a utilization, in a way of living, of beingness, putting it into practice, that we may live life at higher, greater degrees of livingness, because ultimately that's our purpose. So we understand when Holmes says there's this idea that there is no state of futurity in the law. Therefore, all statements should be an affirmation of the present. All should be an affirmation of the present. Okay? Here and now. Awesome. My place. Your place. Okay? So, and I'm skipping through an example that he gives in the book. And he says, the law of life operates through your affirmations. Nothing can hinder its working but yourself. Can you get to that gratification point within yourself and own that thanksgiving for that which is already here, even though your five senses may not register? Like I said last time, our senses don't register things that we accept as being true, when we accept them as being part of our reality. The horizon ends if you're at the beach out there, and that's where it looks like Earth ends, but it doesn't. You know that. You can't see it. Your senses don't tell you that. And there's many other, examples of that as you go through your life, day-to-day experience. There's auditory, there's taste. It affects all of our senses. When we begin to seek to live in and express truth as our life, our livingness, we open up and become aware of the truth of the creative principle of the universe and the realization that that creative principle lives at the core of our being. He says, life offers or operates through your affirmation. Nothing can hinder it. It's working but yourself. Nothing can hinder it. It's working but yourself. There is no more of it on one desert than there is on the busiest street corner. It will not respond any more quickly because we go into the temple, church, kneel, closet, whatever, okay? It is everywhere, therefore it is where you are. There's one life. That life is infinite. When I say that life is infinite, realizing the immenseness of that statement, whatever you see in this relative material reality that we live in, is all very finite. I mean, this has edges and there's form, and, people live their life and then they seemingly don't live their life, and we can go on and on and on, but living this life is infinite. And we are infinite beings. This physical expression, it will come and go. But we are infinite beings because God is infinite and God is us. We have that resource. When we talk about as our day-to-day life experience brings things for us to persevere through or overcome, and people go, gosh, that life can be a struggle. Isn't that tragic? And I respond, no, that's the beauty of life. We are created to be overcomers. We're created to be achievers. We are created to see the greater good. We're created to realize that we have a bigger God. everywhere present. But we're taught to be limited. We're taught to see less than, to be less than, to experience less than. And we live in the tragedy of that less thanness. It expresses throughout humanity and has since the beginning of time. We evolved physically to the point of self-awareness, but from that point on, our evolutionary progress for humanity, all of humanity, has to be or has come through an expression, our expression of consciousness self-discovery. It's been long. We've gained some, we've lost some, but there's been a constant forward movement. And we're here today, and we have great communication, technological things that we can share, but we still have to do the work ourselves. We can learn online, we can practice at home, but practice and practice and practice again. Without practice, there is no... People say practice makes perfect. That's not true. Practice makes improvement. And without practice, there will be no improvement. If you wish to improve your life, practice living. How do you practice living? You practice being the being that you are. We have to learn, and we put it into practice. We're going to take our first break, and I'll see you when we come back.
When you need to get fit, contact Gary Torres, IFBB Pro, specializing in weight loss, body transformations, and contest prep. Email GaryTorres5336@yahoo.com.
Hey, I'm Chris DeVold. Tune in every Friday night on CentralValleyTalk.com when I bring you Sex, Drugs, Chris DeVold, where I'll give you 3 guesses on what we talk about. And I also vow to bring you 1 live local music act a week. So tune in every week because you never know what kind of music you're going to hear right here on CentralValleyTalk.com.
The Space Colony Journals are an epic tale of a family's struggle to survive. Meet the courageous women and dangerous men who dare to carve a home on the alien world of Vensug. Get your copy today. Available on Amazon and Gail Daly's FineArt.com.
You enter this door with expired tags. Beyond is another dimension, a dimension of regulations, a dimension of long waits. You have reached the registration zone. What looks like an ordinary shop is actually Mitchell Smog, located in the heart of the Tower District, a few minutes from the DMV. Mitchell Smog offers your vehicle a STAR-certified smog inspection. So remember Mitchell Smog when you need to pass through the registration zone.
Contact Sarah Hernandez of June and Matte Photography to schedule your portrait, engagement, wedding, or next family photo session. But that's not all. Sarah is also your personal brandographer, helping you ditch the stock photos and get images that sell. Call 559-412-3721. Visit JuneandMattePhoto.com and follow Sarah on Instagram and Facebook.
Give your child the tools to succeed. The Yergubian Academic Center offers one-on-one and group educational lessons by appointment. Over 90% of our students show significant improvement in their academics in just 3 months. Students of the Yergubian Academic Center have gone on to UCLA, UC San Diego, Yale, Stanford, and many more prestigious universities. Schedule a tutoring session today. Call 559-437-3973.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Welcome back to New Thought Talk. I'm your host, Steve Walling. Moving forward, we are in Chapter 5, this thing called life. And I want to go back and once again refer to the textbook. On page 75, under the title of The Science of Mind, Holmes, he writes, "Science of mind, then, is the study of life and the nature of the laws of thought, the conception that we live in a spiritual universe, that God is in, through, around, and for us. That's kind of it in a nutshell. God, we live in, God lives through us and for us. But we're not meant to be like mushrooms or bumps on a log. We're meant to live life. We're meant to be active. And for each of us, the definition of active may be different, depending on the physicality of where and who you are. Activity may be one thing for someone else, and another, under different circumstances, it'll be something else. We seek to not only define our gifts, but to discover our gifts, because gifts we have, each and every one of us. And those gifts, they await our finding, our discovery, and putting into practice. But everything that we could need, want, and desire in order to do that, that we may express those gifts in livingness, is potentially there awaiting us to discover and put it to practice. And in that discovery, creativity is part of it. We are creative beings in a creative universe. So Holmes goes on to say, if we're going to use this law of life to establish health in our experience or someone else's experience, we seek to realize this power as a presence of health, if we're health. And when we talk about health, sometimes we're talking about physical health. Sometimes we're talking about relationship health or personal expression health or financial health. Health is a general term because if we live optimally, we live healthily in all areas, all aspects of our life. So, although science of mind and new thought came out of the study of spiritual healing, if you will, that healing doesn't relate to just a physical expression of health, although early on that was a major focus. Today we know that it expands through all that we can experience and express in our physical life. That means you and me and the people we know. It's a gift. It's awesome. So he says, okay, if you're using the law of life to establish health, you should seek to realize this power as the presence of health. Perhaps, if we're seeking to aid someone that has a particular type of trouble, if there is but one life, then there is but one, whatever we're trying to see. And I'm kind of filling in and paraphrasing here because I want to make this point. If we're treating for ourselves, for someone else, and we realize that this power, this has the presence of whatever that is, it's a beingness waiting to be received, accepted, okay? He says, everyone has an individualized life, expression, experience, mental outlook, goals, whatever, okay? This is the divine idea, the perfect realization, the perfect form and spiritualness that awaits the calling, if you will, into an individual, into our individual life. And we can seek, particularly in various new thought spiritualities, there are, prayer people, there are practitioners, but we can do that for ourselves too. The thing, if we're struggling on our own to get to that realization point, that doesn't mean we give up. We continue to practice and practice and practice. But we can seek out. Unity has a phone line that you can call in. Science of Mind has prayer practitioners, professionals. And I'm not familiar with like Divine Science or some of the other, but I'm sure that there's somebody there, even if it's the minister. I get people that seek me out for treatment on a regular basis. And it's a blessing to be in that position. But we can practice, and as we continue to practice, go back and review the various shows that we've done in this and the shows that we did to this thing called You, which preceded this. If you don't have a copy of the textbook, you can order one, obviously. You can find the 1926 edition, which Holmes wrote first. It's not packaged as concisely as the 1938 edition, but you can work with that. There's New Thought Library online. There's various others. You can seek out books that are out of copyright from some of the early pioneers, and you can learn techniques. You can learn concepts, and you take those techniques and concepts and put them into practice in your life. One of the basic concepts to get is, when we talk about it's done unto you as you believe, you can shift that around a little bit. It's done unto you as you think. Always. That trend of thought. And that's why at the beginning of each show I talk about, before you open your eyes in the morning, make that affirmation, make that ownership, that receptivity of the gift of today as yours. Empower yourself. And, as you go through the day, maybe you get caught off guard. Don't berate yourself if you notice that your doubt level's gone up a little bit higher, or maybe a little fear has crept in. Fear is a powerful thing. It's hardwired into the physical being of the human body, and it's what propelled the human body, what became the human being evolutionarily through the physical evolution until that point of consciousness, that I am awareness happened. And it's the mechanism's still there. It's kind of like an appendix, Appendix served a purpose at one time. Doesn't serve a purpose anymore, but it's still there. And, it can become inflamed. It can become life-threatening if the inflammation is let to go beyond a certain point. The fear mechanism, kind of the same way. There are, of course, certain aspects to fear that are still important in our life. We want to be aware of certain so-called physical threats, but beyond that, so much fear that people experience that have nothing to do with anything other than they've created a scenario in their mind, a scenario of limitation, a scenario of victimhood or whatever. Doesn't exist, but we still experience the fear associated with it. Think about that. Could we also not create something that not only supersedes the fear, but transcends it in a way to create an optimal, harmonious, positive outcome? And then we can experience the benefits of that. And that's what we're talking about. That's what we're teaching about. When we look at this thing called life, he says, okay, we're going to finish up chapter 5 here. He says, there is an idea that is common to all men of various things. This is reality. This is the reality of that idea, is the idea of God. So when we have entered into a great affirmation of life, it is now the business of the power. As we affirm the goodness, the wholeness of life, it's the business of power with a capital P. In other words, the divine principle of God, right? To execute this decree of our affirmation, of our statement, our declaration, right? That we may have implicit confidence that it will do so. There's one life. That life is God. That life is our life. Now, we are an expression of God. Whoops, I didn't do that. We can live through our mind in a life of struggle, or we can live using our mind to create a life of harmony, abundance, of goodness, of peace, adventure, wholeness, happiness. I could go on. It's all encapsulated in that one life, and that life is ours. We claim it. We own it. We move forward. We move beyond. We create the adventure in our minds and then experience the adventure in this reality, this materiality. When life comes at us at the speed of light for sure, but when it comes at us at that speed of life, we always must remember we have a bigger God. Awesome. Bring it on. Let me strive, let me struggle, let me grow, that I may meet the next challenge and transcend it. Think about it. So, Holmes, he takes chapter 6 now. He's talking about, it's another example, someone that was trying to, looks like moving into tried to get a foothold in the movie industry. I kind of chuckle because I grew up down in that area, right near one of the studios, and when Holmes talks about stuff, or I read about his life and the people, some of those people that knew him, I had the opportunity to at least meet. Very familiar with the area. There's so much stuff that changed in that area both regionally and area both as a creative endeavor of individuals, that my personal belief is too much of race consciousness kind of presented itself, overshadowed itself, created a lot of not so much goodness. Not like it was, I don't believe, when Holmes was there. So, he's talking about giving this person affirmations, telling her how to do this and how the doors open, things happen, circumstances. Okay, and then he says, if one were to take away an inventory, or to take an inventory of his or her mental reactions to life, of their inward emotional states, of faiths, fears, beliefs, and hopes, they would be surprised to see how exactly they dovetail with their outward life experience. One of the tools that I use when working with people sometimes is, there are beliefs that we claim that we hold, there's beliefs that we think that we hold, and there's beliefs that we hold that we're not aware of. Now, the ones that we claim we hold, those are our conscious. We got that, okay? The ones that we believe that we hold may or may not be, and I'll get to that. The ones that we're not aware of, we definitely do hold those, and those express in our life, in our experience. And life always mirrors back to us what it is that we believe. It's done unto us as we believe. And so people will say, well, I'm having a hard time. I'm struggling. I don't believe in struggle. Well, okay, you say you don't consciously. You believe that you don't. Good. You're experiencing it in your life. Maybe you want to revisit that a little bit. And that's not a bad thing. In that taking that inventory of our life, the things that are expressing in our life that we're not necessarily happy about, we say, well, I don't believe those things. Well, let's stop for a minute. Instead of denying it, and there's times when denials can work for us, but there's times when denials will work against us. If we turn our back on what we're experiencing and saying, well, that can't be my belief, I don't, we'll stop, okay? Let's take inventory. Are there other events in our life that kind of fit into that, what I'll call a negative category? Okay, well, there are. So instead of turning our back, because we're beginning to discover the truth of who we are, we're seeking to put into practice. What are we seeking to put into practice? We're seeking to put into practice our relationship with the divine. We're seeking to put into practice the ability to claim receptivity and acceptance of a greater good. We're seeking to put into practice the ability to speak our word in a way that not only is it affirming something on an intellectual level, but it's affirming something in our beingness as being so. I believe that there's one power, one presence in the universe, that there's a oneness and a unity. I believe that. I live that my life with that understanding. if we live our life, if you live your life with that understanding, it also means that we have to take inventory where we see things that we're very judgmental about. Okay? One of the reasons why the master teacher suggested, well, no, actually he told us we shouldn't judge. He also told us, and I say this again and again, we love God with all that we are, and we love our neighbors, we love ourselves. And on these two things, right? And that's it, beginning and end, on these two, for each of us. So, yeah, what about all those dastardly no-goods, right? Well, there are no dastardly no-goods, because we're all an expression of God. But there are individuals which, through, and I'll just use the term, maybe they're just broken, without trying to be judgmental on them, but they live life in a very kind of negative sort of way. They affect people, not kind of, but oftentimes in an extremely negative sort of way. We still love them. They're still God expressed. You know, we don't turn our back on a puppy or a cat or any other pet that is broken in some sort of way. We give them love, and oftentimes we even give them a higher, greater degree of lovingness. Can we do that for our fellow human beings? All of them, across the broad spectrum. Stop finger pointing. Stop. Okay, hold on. You say, wait a second. They're haters. You know, the two most powerful words in the English language is I am. The second two most powerful words in the English language is so what. And if you sought to use so what to a greater degree in your day-to-day life experience, instead of choosing to be offended or angered or whatever, or at fear, I have a bigger God, so what? The person is doing things that, I believe to be negative. So what? There's one God, one life, one perfection, one love. We seek to express our life at greater and higher degrees of livingness. We must do that in a consciousness of love and love alone. We'll take our next break. I'll see you when we come back.
If your home floods, who will you call? When your house springs a leak, it's time to call Clean Master Emergency Flood Service at 559-213-9430. Clean Master will be there in 60 minutes to start fixing your home. And Clean Master bills your insurance directly, saving you the hassle because you've got enough to worry about. Clean Master also offers carpet and upholstery cleaning, carpet repair, pet odor removal, and more. Remember, Clean Master Emergency Flood Service. 559-213-9430 and visit cleanmasterflood.com. Pour yourself a glass of Crybaby wine available at the market and Sam's Italian Deli. And remember to ask for Crybaby wine at your favorite restaurant.
Forget about the higher good of food, right? You're growing a product that people enjoy really all over the world. I mean, how does that make you feel?
I think about that all the time. I think about the families sitting around a table, enjoying a meal. I just see that what we do brings families together.
I mean, we're blessed. We're in paradise for food.
The Kern family of the Kern Family Farm invites you to eat delicious, nutritious, organic produce available at the Gnarly Carrot, located at 32954 Road 222 in North Fork, California. The Gnarly Carrot is a local, natural, seasonally changing market offering a wide range of products from local Central Valley vendors. Get your caffeine fix, grab a smoothie, and support small businesses. Learn more at kernfamilyfarm.com and visit the Gnarly Carrot today. Doctor in Sukasa allows you to connect with your doctor when you need a quick treatment. Avoid a trip to a medical clinic or emergency room and connect by video with your doctor from your home, work, or anywhere. Just go to drinsukasa.com on your phone, tablet, or computer. Dr. in Sukasa provides quality care that is convenient, bilingual, and affordable, so you are never left without access to health care. Visit drinsukasa.com today.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
This segment is brought to you by Mike Briggs Properties. The recession's over. It's now safe to sell your home. Call Mike Briggs Properties.
Clovis Community College may be free for you to attend. Call 325-5239 or visit cloviscollege.edu for details. We offer general education classes for transfer and short-term training programs.
Call PG's Catering for all your special occasions. Available to cook any variety of foods and desserts that will leave your taste buds wanting more. Call 559-558-2682 and follow Peaches on Instagram and Facebook. For all your real estate needs, call Julia Tadich with Clovis First, 559-323-2213, or visit clovisfirst.com. That's CLOVIS, the numeral 1, ST.com. Whether you're looking to buy a home or sell a home, get a loan, or whatever the case may be, call Julia Tadich.
Welcome back to New Thought Talk. I am your host, the Reverend Steve Walling. So, last segment where I was talking about life mirrors back to us, right? So Holmes writes, he says, circumstances do not create themselves. They are always molded by someone's thought patterns. In the collective life, they are molded by the sum total of all persons' thoughts. In our individual lives, they are molded by our own personal reactions, our beliefs, our thoughts. They create our reality. He says we cannot doubt that there is an intelligence in the universe which can mold our affairs into shapes of harmony. How should we proceed consciously to align ourselves with this larger possibility? How would you do that? You practice. He says, first, we should recognize that such a power exists. One presence, one power, one life, one mind. Yeah. That's us. We should recognize that such power exists, realizing that all energies, including mental and spiritual ones, operate through or according to law. We should next attempt to discover how this law operates, and then we should use this law such that it will produce success instead of failure. How do we use this law? Well, we've talked a little bit about the law. The law is that which operates between the thought and the thing, so to speak. You know, we often say that the Word of God is creative. The body of God is the creation. The law is what transforms the Word into the body. It's that space. It can't reject. It has no judgment. There's some kind of intelligence, but it's not volitional. That law is always working, just like gravity. It's always working in our lives. That's why how powerful an exercise it is when we sit down and we begin to see what life is mirroring back to us, and then asking ourselves the question, what is it that we have to believe? You know, and that's an exercise that we, if we're serious about doing it, over a period of time. You're not going to sit down in one evening. I mean, you can start in one evening, but it's like everything else. If we do it on an ongoing basis, we can fine-tune it. We can learn more about ourselves. We can learn more about our beliefs. We can also begin to put together a pathway, if you will, of personal practice and creativity to create new beliefs, to create a new, more positive, abundant, health-filled, wonderful, love-filled, harmonious life expression. He says the law of mind and spirit responds to us by corresponding with our own mental attitudes. That is, it operates for us through our belief. This is why we are told to have implicit confidence in it, to put our whole trust and faith in it, to put our whole trust and faith in it, to believe sincerely, enthusiastically, and joyfully that it will respond to us. This is the essence of faith. Faith is a real, for me, it's something that it's like I know it, I can give words to defining it, but it doesn't seem to me to be it when I speak about it. It's an experience. Faith is an experience. It's an experience in living my belief in a level of confidence. There is in Living the Science of Mind, and I don't remember under what topic, but it's towards the end of the book, page like 305, 321, somewhere thereabouts, where he talks about faith and fear. I understand at the time when Holmes was alive, we believed, we being medical science and science in general, that every child was born with three fears: the fear of loud noises, the fear of falling, or was it just two? I don't remember now. Loud noise, it was just two. Fear of loud noises and falling. Okay. Science has come a long way. See, I graduated as a doctor in 1980, and that's what we were taught. Today we know, not even close. We're born with fear hardwired into the system. Go figure. But once we know that, knowledge is power. When we know that, we can begin to address it in our own lives. So when Holmes wrote this back whenever he did, prior to 1960, he said that fear was having an affirmative belief that which you did not want to have happen, happening. And faith was an affirmative belief that which you wanted to have happening, happen. And that's pretty good. But, for each of us, I think we could maybe investigate that a little bit more. Fear is, but we can get around fear. As a matter of fact, and I've spoken on this program before, the Navy spent like $15 or $50 million trying to discover what all they could about fear and could it be overcome so that they could train the SEAL teams to be more successful in what SEAL teams do. And they found, after doing all this study, that yes, there's a process. And it's a process that, it's surprisingly or not surprisingly, that we've utilized in New Thought in partial or all of its components from our very beginning. And what they found basically was there's four things, and they spend good money and time training these individuals to put these four things into practice. One is visualization. Got that, right? Goal setting, affirmations, okay? And the fourth thing is something that they called arousal control. And what they're talking about is, when we allow our consciousness to get away from us in anticipation of negative things, we begin to we hyperventilate a little bit, or we go through all this, physiological stuff. It's part of the fear response. We can practice being aware that when our body is beginning to do that, being mindful, and that's really what it is being breathing slowly, not letting things get away, calm, At that time, at that part, even if you happen to be one that uses a mantra in your normal meditating experience, like an Om mantra, bring yourself present, calm, peaceful. They spent a lot of money learning that. We've been doing it because we learned to do it, not because we had research, but because we, as a science, if you will, we begin to put these principles into practice. And so that's what we've done. So we can overcome fear. We can overcome the control that fear has in our life. We don't have to deny that the mechanism is there, but we can make it our partner instead of our controller, if you will, allowing us to get out of control. So he goes on, he says, the law of mind and spirit responds to us by corresponding to our mental attitudes. Okay. It operates through our beliefs. That's why we're told to have confidence in it. I'm going to skip down now because we covered that. Faith is a power which every person has, but which few use consciously. How do we have, or how are we able to use faith more consciously? Through practice. You get the idea of, practice is important in our life. Every day, if we put certain practices include them in our day-to-day life experience, okay? We shift, we change. For people that are seeking to become an athlete, let me explain. Back when I was practicing, I had a patient who was he was a bodybuilder, and he was very successful. He had become, at one point, Mr. Olympia, and I don't remember now. It's been a long time, but he might have even made the Mr. Universe title his. And I worked with him a lot back at that time, and the thing was not to, and this is one of the lessons he taught me back then, was not to try to take on the whole gym in one hour time, but to take small bites every day and maybe start those small bites in short periods of time and then expand that time as I grew better skilled, as I developed the muscles, I developed the reflexes, and I developed the consciousness necessary to achieve and grow in making my body more physically healthy. I wasn't trying to be a bodybuilder. I just, I wanted to be healthy in my body. And it's the same way in our spiritual life. We want to be healthy spiritually. If we, as some people have tried to do, take the whole universe on in one bite, oftentimes the people that attempt that, just like people that attempt to take on that physical fitness all in one bite, they get discouraged and they walk away. Okay, right now we're in about the second week of February of this year. January 1st, you know what happens, right? Everybody does their New Year's resolution. By the 15th, which is coming up, I think maybe tomorrow, by the 15th of February, statistically, like 95% of everybody that's set a New Year's resolution has broke their resolutions. Why? Because usually their resolutions were too big. They tried to, do it all at once. They got discouraged. Sometimes it's commitment. Our spiritual journey is a day-to-day journey of small steps, repeated again and again and again. Growing, strengthening, expanding our consciousness, eliminating old limiting beliefs, not by trying to wipe them out all at once, but by addressing them a little bit at a time. It's amazing. We practice. We'll take our last break, and I'll see you when we come back.
Hi everyone, I am Sparkle Sujin with the Everything Sparkle Show. Tune in every Thursday live at 4 p.m. You will see people that are motivational, inspirational, inspiring, and of course, entertaining. We have a great time. We learn things about how big celebrities are inspiring big names here in Fresno. Hugh Hefner is the reason we have Fresno Magazine, and Gnarly Charlie got his start because Johnny Carson told him to. So, tune in, you'll learn something new, and have a good time.
Highlights, balayage, color, extensions, cuts, pure Brazilian blowouts, treatments. Contact Jordan Myers at Hair by Jordan.
Did you know most hair and beauty salons in the Central Valley are not disposing of their chemicals correctly? Partner with us today to become an eco-friendly salon. Visit us online at greenbeautywaste.com. Our phone number is 559-367-7206. And be sure to visit us on Instagram and Facebook at Green Beauty Waste.
Is everything in life draining you? Come to Stretch 360. Our professional staff can offer you many options for relaxation like deep tissue or hot stone massages, infrared medical grade sauna. Once you leave us, you'll look and feel like $1,000,000. Stretch 360. Relaxation is only a stretch away.
The Art of Becoming Who We Are in Christ by Jolene Kennedy is a book about the process of maturity as we find our true identity, since God's promises must be received, embraced, and activated within us. Get your copy today and check out JoleneKennedy.com. Fleet Feet Fresno is more than just a running and sportswear store. Fleet Feet Sports' mission is to provide runners and other active Fresnans with gear that fits their individual needs, training that helps them reach their fitness goals, and races that satisfy their competitive spirit. Get to know Fleet Feet Fresno today.
Ghost Golf is Fresno's most spectacular family entertainment center. It's frightening how much fun you'll have on our 18-hole indoor haunted graveyard course. Skeletons welcome you, but watch out! All sorts of creatures may come to life. Ghost Golf is perfect for scary good parties, so book yours today. You'll get free plays at the Mummy Shooting Gallery, arcades, and air hockey. Check out our party and weekday specials online and like us on Facebook. Come play at family-friendly Ghost Golf. Good times will haunt you.
Clovis Community College may be free for you to attend. Call 325-5239 or visit cloviscollege.edu for details. We offer general education classes for transfer and short-term training programs.
Welcome back to New Thought Talk. I am your host, Reverend Steve Walling. Got to turn that off. Got sidetracked for a minute. Well, there you go. So anyway, here we go. Hold on. There we go. All right, Holmes, we're moving on. He says, the law of mind and spirit responds to us by corresponding with our mental attitudes, right? He says faith. Okay, this idea of faith is a power which every person has, but which few people use consciously. Okay, and I just talked about faith and belief, right? But think of this as faith as a power that you could use. Power like muscle power, power like fortitude, power, concentration. Faith is a power, okay? And it's awesome. He says, one man or person does not possess this power above a single or another person to any greater or lesser degree. Everyone has the power, since everyone has consciousness. The question then is not, do we have power? It's merely, how are we using it? How are you using your power? If you're living conscious life in an unconscious manner, life's giving back to you all the randomness that goes on between your ears. Power. Power's an awesome thing. Power's available to each and every one of us. But true power avails itself to us at the level that we align ourselves with the source of all power, that being God itself, the one life, the one presence. Our journey. I'm going to stop today in the book because coming up, Holmes gets into what's commonly been referred to as the Lord's Prayer, and he breaks it down from in a new thought sort of way. I want to take the time next week to go through this, and that next show to go through this completely through the show. I've done this in my own understanding way, but it's a powerful tool. Many of us learned that as young people in our spiritual life growing up, but looking at it through new eyes. There's a power and a presence for good that's available to each one of us at the level that we avail ourselves to it, put it into practice. It's awesome. We're going to go through this week. We're going to put into practice a little bit more. I thank you for being with us with the show today. If you ever happen to be in Fresno, you can always email me at the email address that's on the screen. You want to come to our Sunday lesson. And I say Sunday lesson because I traditionally don't do so much of a church-type celebration, if you will. I continue to teach. It's where I believe that my desire, my gift, it's just where I want to be. I love to see people put this into practice in their life. I love to see people take control of their life in an awesomely constructive sort of way. I love to see people replacing judgment in their life with love. I love seeing people realizing that as they follow the two great precepts, love God with all that we are, love our neighbor as ourselves, that their ability to demonstrate a greater good in their life increases exponentially. And it's available to each and every one of us. You can do it. I encourage you to do it. I encourage you to practice every day. And I, in my encouragement, want to share with you that failing is going to be part of it. Failing is not the end of. Failing is a lesson to learn. Sometimes the lesson is just perseverance. It's like those New Year's resolutions. The first day or two, we can be right on top of it. The third, fourth day, we get a little lax, and as time goes on, we've kind of gotten away from it. Let's not make our commitment to ourselves, to the divine principle, to be so different from where we're at right now that we haven't developed the skill set to really grow in our day-to-day life experience. How about just take those small bites, but take one every day. Do it, that small step, do it. Read an affirmation every day. If you happen to have a copy of the Science of Mind, there's they used to put it in the front of the book. I think now in the latest editions, it's in the back of the book, but it's a daily read. And it will take you through the book in about a year's time. It's not all inclusive, but it's a good daily spiritual practice. And that's what you're seeking to do, is to create spiritual practices. And as you do, you grow your power, you grow your faith, and you grow the demonstrations that you see in your life. You get confident. You realize the awesomeness of living an expression that is you, as God living through you. Doesn't get any better than that, folks. And so it is. I'll see you next week. Know that the light of God surrounds you, the love of God enfolds you, power of God protects you, presence of God watches over you. Because truly, wherever you are, God is there, all is well. Take care.